Ladies and gentlemen, Shelley Winter back. And the name of this show is called Inside Georgia Real Estate with my sister and friend, Deborah Morton. She is the founder, real estate broker, and founder of Clario Real Estate. My sister.
Hello.
How are you?
Shelley.
How are you? So let's get right to it. 2024 has ended, so all the numbers are in. So now real estate, the numbers are in, and the headline, I'm going to ask you to riff on this, if you will. The U.S. just experienced its slowest annual sales of homes since 1995.
I know.
Talk to us about that.
You were just a child in 1995.
Absolutely.
Shelley.
I wasn't even born yet.
Right. So it's interesting. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but now these numbers are making it into national headlines. And I think it's relevant and important for people to know, because the next question is, how does that affect me if I'm buying or selling? And what I can do is break down for people exactly what we did all last year. If you need to buy a home, there's fewer homes to choose from. Sellers aren't letting go of homes. So that helps perpetuate this seller's market we've been in for years. However, there's additional data that shows that we're seeing increasing days on market and price reductions. So what's going on with the market? It is very interesting time. Since 1995, it hasn't been this interesting. How much bigger is our population now? Then the number of homes transacting, we have, 20% higher population and fewer homes turning over.
Oh, so you're saying
we have more people, fewer homes transacting, but there is a good spot here. So I am having very good success with our buyers right now, helping them, because new construction is a very great option. In addition to new homes being wonderful.
Does that count in annual sales, new construction? In this number of new homes?
Yeah.
It's every home, whether it's new construction. Okay.
So a long time, like through the pandemic, we had low inventory. Builders were behind. There's a lot of reasons why builders were slow to build their inventory levels, but now inventory of new construction homes is growing, and that's helpful. But the timing of this is great, because what I'm finding for my buyers right now is the benefit of builder incentives. We're rolling that into rate buy downs for their interest rate.
Go back just a couple sentences. Builder incentives. What can you explain what that looks like?
Well, it can be packaged up in any number of ways. A professional real estate agent like myself and my team, what we're doing is looking for deals. If the cost of borrowing money it's cost prohibitive to you getting into a new home, then me bringing a solution to your challenge is, gosh, it's so expensive. I cannot afford the monthly payment because interest rates are so high. So if I can negotiate an incentive from the builder, which would translate to maybe not, you take $30,000 off the price of the house, or we take that $30,000 and package it into your loan program. So now you can negotiate from a 7% interest rate.
So give me an example then, rather than the actual comment or the incentive. Give me an example of what would that look like for a buyer?
Right. What it would look like is
the actual incentive, an example of an actual incentive.
Okay. So a builder is building a house. They usually put them on the market before they're complete. You go look at it, you see the lot, you pick your lot, you pick your model. If the home is already complete, they'll be more motivated to get it sold. Write a contract with you. When it was a hot market, builders were not dealing. They weren't offering any kind of this is the price, take it or leave it.
Right.
Next, we'll move on to the next person. Now, there's a little bit more opportunity for you, Shelley, to buy, or anybody, Shelley, to buy a new home. When we walk in and we talk about, well, the price is, let's say, $500,000. And that's their asking price. The house is not complete. It's due to be complete in 60 days. My job is to find out what all I can do. Can I get them to come down from $500,000? That sounds great.
Right. So let's say they don't.
Well, they don't. The point is to try to say, okay, look, we know the price of the house is the price of the house. Will you incentivize us, because there are these preferred lender opportunities? Hey, I'm going to work with your mortgage broker. I have good credit. I have decent credit.
Right.
I have some money to put down. But the cost of money is too high because of 7% interest, plus my insurance, plus my taxes, plus my HOA fees.
But what I'm asking is, what would be an example of an incentive?
Your financing would be at 6.9% for a $500,000 loan less your down payment. So that we could
But can a builder give that?
We can get that using relationships, builder
Gotcha.
relationship and lender relationships. We tie those together and we provide for you this brand new $500,000 house at a rate of maybe 6% instead of 7%.
Gotcha.
And that, as it rolls off of my tongue, it doesn't sound like very much to you, but it is absolutely a game changer in what your affordability is
Right.
on a monthly basis.
So when I heard incentive, the reason why I was asking that is because I thought it was like, oh, can you throw in the granite countertops at the same price? That's what I was thinking when you say
and
incentives.
so sometimes that is like, sometimes it's, hey, I want you to include the blinds or the refrigerator, or I want the upgraded cabinets instead of the standard cabinets. There's a lot of things that can do. Having an agent, a buyer's agent that represents the buyer in the transaction with new construction is super helpful. There was a time where people think, oh, I don't need an agent to represent me. It's new construction. I'll just work with the builder.
Right.
Well, the builder's not really looking to give you a lot of things because they're trying to make as much money as they can.
Right.
And good for them. They're in business to do that.
I want to move over. This is LA with the wildfires, but it speaks to what you just talked about good agents, right?
Yes.
I'm seeing these stories coming out of California about agents doing some unsavory things. We saw the same thing in North Carolina, in Florida after hurricanes and things like that. Talk to us about that because it speaks to what you were just talking about.
Yes. So I have a lot of friends who are agents in California. And if the people there, we've had a lot of conversations the last couple of weeks. We do online masterminds talking about how can we help? There have been a lot of opportunities to help people who've lost their homes. What we're seeing is kind of disgusting. To those of us who are good at our work, it is really hard to watch what's happening. It is absolutely price gouging is happening. It's supply and demand. Oh my gosh, all of these people need houses. I have a house and I'm going to triple the price that you could pay for it. It does happen. But I want to point out how many good people are out there. I know agents in California on a first name basis with that have Airbnbs and second homes or even like garage apartments that they have opened up to people to get them a foothold and a place to stay. So there's so many good things happening. Those don't tend to make it to the news, but I have firsthand stories of that. Situations like this it really comes down to, it's just human nature. Sadly, there are people with integrity in every industry and there are people without.
Right.
So who you work with always matters. And that's what we're here talking about every week. You know, call in and ask me questions about what matters to you when you're buying or selling real estate. And I can tell you if past experiences that you have, you tell me what happened and I'll tell you if that's the way it's really supposed to be done or not, because there is a right way to do business in real estate. And that's what I want to help people with.
Keeping on that subject of what's going on with these disasters, if my house burns down, do I still have to make my mortgage payments? if there's like, even if I have insurance, it doesn't cover the value of the whole or the price of the whole house. Are people still making mortgage payments or have to?
That's kind of a really unfortunate thing. Yes, that lien, you're obligated to pay. Your mortgage doesn't go away even if your house did. So that's where insurance, the cost of replacement is supposed to cover. So that's really scary what I'm hearing about some of the situations in California right now. So people are on the hook. Here you are, can you imagine you've lost all your possessions, you don't even have clothes on your back, you have no place to stay, you're relying on the goodwill of friends and family and neighbors and strangers. Realtors to help. And I don't have clothes to go to work, but my mortgage payment is due. And I have to deal with the insurance company. And finding this in-depth, deep dive into what is going on with the insurance industry, you know, I'm a real estate professional. There are insurance agents who could probably break it down more clearly, but it comes down to government. Like the government was involved in regulating the insurance industry. And as a result, what my understanding is, the insurance industry had to roll back.
Right.
And as a result, the people of California who've lost their homes don't have the coverage they need.
So here in Georgia, the name of the show is Inside Georgia Real Estate.
Before we go,
stick in Georgia. Right, let's come back to Georgia. But before we go to break, because you have to have homeowners insurance when you buy your new home, right? So when I buy my home, does the insurance cover the entirety of the home? Ed in Lake Spivey, and we'll finish that other answer later on after the segment. But go ahead, Ed. What's your question?
Hello, Shelley and Deborah. Thanks for having me on your show today.
Thanks for calling.
Deborah, I've got a very similar situation to what you were describing earlier about doing business with builders and getting your buyers into a more expensive home for probably less money. But I'm an individual that owns a house free and clear that I've got for sale, and I've had 5 offers on it in the last 6 months. I'm being inundated with real estate agents that are bringing people making offers that are unrealistic standpoint.
Can you give us an example, Ed? Can you give us an example
Well,
of
I'm going to give you a great example. I have a son that's a real estate attorney, and he does all my closing. We know what a closing costs. A $325,000 loan shouldn't run more than about $5,000 with all the prepaids and the attorney's fees and whatnot. I'm being approached by buyers represented by real estate agents that are asking for $10,000 to $15,000 in closing costs.
And you don't understand why?
Oh, I understand exactly why. They're asking me to buy the loan down for the buyer. And the point I'm trying to make is the buyer doesn't have any business making an offer on a house that they can't qualify for.
I do have a clarifying question. Are you offering any buyer's agent compensation as part of your marketing package?
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm paying a 6% commission for whoever sells the house.
Right. So if they were sending you offers at a lower sales price, would that be less objectionable?
No, but that's the whole thing. They're coming in with a lower sales price and still asking for the $10,000 to $15,000 closing.
Right. Right.
And all I can say is the buyer really can't qualify for the house. They're asking the seller to step up and just basically give money away to a buyer that can't really buy the house unless somebody gives them money to get the loan.
Well, at 7%, that's a very real factor. You've heard nationally all of the conversations about affordability. The house might be appropriately priced. It might be that, hey, this is a good house at a good price, but the cost of money is not. And it's reducing the number of buyers who are willing to look at your house. Because you're right, they can't afford it. You're in a good position because you own your house outright. But most buyers in the marketplace, especially if it's in a first-time buyer range, they're not paying cash. And the cost of money is a real cost. And I'm sorry for you because as the homeowner, you're like, my house is worth more. But the cost of money, had you sold when it was 3% interest rates and the cost of money was low, that's why people were bidding up, because they could afford it. It did not impact their monthly payment very well.
I understand, but my argument is the real estate agents need to take into consideration.
Well, it's all
seller.
negotiable. Have you sent counter offers back?
Oh, absolutely. I'm willing to pay up to $5,000 for a closing on a $325,000 loan. In fact, the buyer that offered the purchase price plus $15,000 in closing, I increased my closing costs up to $7,500, which was still more than what they needed and would have given them some money to buy the loan down. But they still couldn't afford to buy my house even at $7,500 closing. So my argument is the real estate agent needs to be real careful how they approach these sellers.
The sellers who are get offended by the pricing. Okay, so Ed is selling a house. He's got it listed at $325,000. He's had 5 offers that have been declined. He didn't like the terms of the offer. Ed believes that the closing cost for a buyer should not exceed $5,000. And Ed, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you on that one, because a first-time buyer likely in this price point is they're putting 3% down. It's not a lot of cash.
But I thought it was 20%.
No. So, no, Shelley, in the old days, that's what everybody thought. But most buyers are putting down 5 to 10%. But if they're a first-time buyer or have the opportunity with good credit to put 3 to 3.5% down and using an FHA loan, and the purpose of using an FHA loan instead of conventional is because the terms are better. It's a government-backed loan, and they want to help people get into homes.
Gotcha.
The closing costs and the cost of using an FHA loan are higher. almost double what Ed thinks they are. So Ed's thinking $5,000 in closing costs is plenty to help a buyer get into the home, but it's not. As a rule of thumb, when I'm working with buyers, I estimate 3% closing costs, and that would just be financing costs. That covers the buyer and what they're paying to get into the loan. A cash buyer, it's not going to cost nearly that.
Right.
Maybe $1,500 total.
Right.
But in Ed's situation, if a buyer is putting down 3%, they're financing $315,000. That's almost $9,500 in closing costs that the buyer is looking at. Now, should that buyer be looking at a $300,000+ house if that's all the cash they have available? Maybe, maybe not. But how much does Ed want to sell the house?
Ed, you there?
I'm here.
Did you hear all that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear it. And as I said, I go back to what I said earlier. I think real estate agents need to be respectful of a seller's time. My home is listed, and I expect and I require all agents that are bringing buyers to see my house to be pre-qualified. Now, if you're pre-qualified for a $325,000 loan, you don't have any business asking me for $15,000 closing costs.
Well, there are opportunities in a scenario like this. Now, I don't represent anybody in this scenario, but looking at it from an outsider standpoint, there are opportunities. If you are hard and fast, I want my 325, and they need the closing costs to make this deal happen, would a seller be opposed to increasing the sale price of the house $10,000? Make the house at $335, give them the $15. You're still only coughing up $5. Everybody's happy. The only variable there is, will the house appraise at $335?
Well, and that's definitely something that would have to be considered. Now, I have not had an offer come in where the agent or the buyer asked.
Well, that would be your agent's.
So they could get a loan.
Yeah, no, your agent's job is to negotiate those factors. And how a good agent will go about that is having multiple conversations with every single buyer that sees your house. The listing agent should be conversing with each of them to kind of get a read on what is this buyer's motivation, what is their capability, what's going on the back end. So how can I negotiate a deal in your favor? Additionally, keeping in mind, what are the hardships that a buyer is facing so they can get into this house? There's not a lot of great houses out there for anybody right now in any price point. So a savvy agent, a buyer's agent, is going to try to put a whole package together to make it palatable to the seller. And the seller can be, in your case, it would behoove you to follow up and try to put a scenario together, because if your house is really nice and it's actually worth $325, then it's just a matter of manipulating the numbers to get the buyer into the financing package they need. And that's what the agent and the lender should be working together to make happen.
Ed, let me ask you a question. I know you said a bunch of realtors have brought buyers to you. Do you have someone representing you?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the conversation. It's not creative financing because everybody's using Freddie and Fannie backed products. There's not really that much creativity you can have in a conventional or an FHA backed loan. But you can be creative with how you rearrange the numbers to make this happen. And you clearly want to sell your house. I'm sure the pictures are great. You're getting traffic. You're doing everything you need to do to market the home to get the traffic in. Now, I'm going to assume if you've had 5 offers near your list price, the home is probably worth that. But
it is. It's been freshly remodeled. Everything in it's brand new.
Yeah.
It shows extremely well. Everybody that sees it loves it.
Right. So you just got to find somebody who's qualified enough. And a mortgage lender will qualify somebody
at $325,
knowing that they have the cash, but it's super tight. And it's not just the can they, but it's the what they got to live with in the future. Insurance, homeowner, like we started out with, homeowners insurance is high. Taxes have gone up, all of the things. And when you figure, eggs are $6 a carton, buyers are feeling the pinch. like seriously feeling the affordability
So are you saying, because
issue.
Ed was saying earlier that why are realtors bringing buyers that can't afford it? Are you saying they can afford it, but the question is, do they want to afford it?
Right. It could be a situation where at your house, yeah, it's beautiful and it's lovely, but maybe it's not 325 lovely. And I don't know. I haven't seen your house. I'm not trying to insult your home, but a house is worth what people are willing to pay for it. And it's not like it's a one-off. If you have 5 offers that came in similar, where the net to you is looking more like 300 or 310, that might actually be the true value based on. Now, if you can withstand it and hold tight, don't need to sell it anytime soon, stay the course. Or
Well, that's where I am today. But now let me go back real quick and visit something that Shelley said earlier.
Oh, wait.
Shelley,
Ed, don't me. I'm not the expert. Go ahead.
No. You made a remark. It's where I am. I'm 65 years old, and I've been buying and selling houses since 1985. I'm not new to the business, but what I am unfamiliar with is I had to work very hard to buy every single house that I bought, and I did at times put as much as 20 to 25% down on a house so I could buy it. Things have changed apparently, and now they're financing houses, and buyers are not having to come up with nearly as much money. They're not having to work nearly as hard to get into a house as I did in 1985.
Because the houses are so much more expensive now, but I agree. Back in the day, lots of people, they put down 10% was
But it was
not
10%
much.
on $90,000, right?
Yeah. So a different scenario, and times have changed. Tell you, Ed, there's not a lot of 20% down buyers. Even with the cost of money, it makes sense to put more cash down so you're financing less.
Right.
We are still not seeing a high proportion of the buyers out there putting 20% down. Most of them are in the 5% range. In the under $500,000 brackets.
Right.
Now you get up into luxury properties,
Right.
it's a whole different ballgame. We have a lot of cash buyers
Right.
for luxury properties. We have a lot of cash buyers for the $300,000 range because they are investor-minded people.
Gotcha.
So depending on
And I have had a couple of offers from investors
That
but they
are
want
low.
me to do an owner finance for 30 years.
So let me ask both of you this question because Ed knows his stuff too. So let me ask this question of both of you. Well, really of Ed. Ed, can you sit for, you had said in that mindset, since you own it free and clear, can you sit until mortgage rates come down? Because that's what you're saying is making the price of a home.
Mortgage rates go under 6%. Ed's house has gone with multiple offers in a heartbeat. As long as money costs a lot, this is the scenario we're looking at. And it's not just you, Ed. It's everybody out there. How we package up, we have to market. We have to draw a lot of attention to a home, but we have to be flexible and creative with how we put deals together to help buyers buy and sellers sell. That's my job as your agent. Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. To answer Shelley's question, yes, I'm able to sit on it and wait for the buyer to come along that's willing to do a deal that I can get the kind of money that I want for my house, and they are still able to afford the mortgage payments.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate in that I am in a position that I can wait.
And I'm glad for you in that case. A lot of people are not. A lot of sellers are not. The one thing I would caution you would just be to watch, and I'm sure your agent has already advised you of this, the longer a home sits on the market, the end-up sale price is going to end up being. There's lots of charts and data to show that. And
Because it loses value, perceived value?
Perception, yes. Like if after it's been on the market, well, I'm going to say 30-day mark, there's kind of a shift in perception. And at 60 days, there's a real shift in perception. And there you do hit a point where you're approaching 90 to 100 days on market. The home will seem blighted and not worth as much to the buyers who are coming in.
Thanks,
I
Ed.
understand.
Yeah.
Well, Ed, if you're listening, well, I know you are because you're just on the radio, InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. Go to that website. Deborah has a lot of tips and things like that, and you can continue your conversation.
Absolutely. I have my new buyer and seller guides finally finished. You send me a message on InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. I will send you a free buyer or seller guide.
Randall, just ask your question, brother.
I'm getting ready to buy a home for the first time again in like 20 years. And I want to be able to stay away from sellers like Ed because I've been working 80 hours a week for the past 4 years, and I've barely been able to squirrel away $8,000 in liquid cash.
I hear you.
I'm borrowing the down payment for my 401k, but they won't let me borrow but $13,500. So I got like basically 16 grand I could bring to the table. So I know exactly where I want to buy a house, but I want to stay away from mean old men like Ed that don't want to work with somebody.
Randall, you are in great shape if you have a great agent representing you, because it is my job as your agent to bring you terms. You got to concentrate on finding the right house. Dude, you're working hard. Go to work. Do what you need to do. Let's show you the best houses out there, and then let your agent negotiate on your behalf. Don't worry yourself with what the seller's going to say, because your agent may or may not be able to do it. We cannot convince a seller to sell. But if that house is on the market, you need somebody scrappy that's going to get your offer accepted with the best terms possible that you have to offer. That's all you can do. You can only control what you can control.
So how can Randall get some more information from you?
Randall, send me a message inside GeorgiaRealEstate.com. Cynthia, let's go to Cynthia. Go ahead, Cynthia, your question.
I was approved for a mortgage loan. Just how long does it viable? Because it's been like 30 days and I haven't really found anything yet.
Yeah, it takes a while right now, and I'm sorry for that. 90 days is probably, I've seen them longer, 120 days, but you stay in touch with your lender. The person who gave you the pre-approval letter, they can refresh it for you at any time. So keep looking and stay the course.
Okay, great. Thank you.
John from Hampton.
Yeah. Hello, Deborah. Thanks for taking my call. I was curious, I'm in roofing sales, and I've run into a lot of customers that are about to put their house on the market, have a roof that needs to be replaced, and just want to help guide them in that conversation. Is it worth replacing the roof? Yeah.
Roofs are a deal killer in a lot of transactions because the sellers don't want to replace a roof that is old. If your roof is more than, I would say 20 years is a danger zone for when I'm looking at homes with buyers and sellers. Now, I have heard insurance regulations have again restricted a bit, and a roof that is less than 10 years old is okay, but more than 10 years old, the buyer might actually have some trouble getting homeowners insurance with a roof between 10 and 20 years old. So we have two things. We have, is it a good roof? Is it leaking roof from a function standpoint? But we also have the insurability standpoint. These conversations need to happen. When I work with a seller, we talk about the roof. What are your options? And then, of course, when I'm working with a buyer, a roof is a big money item that needs to be considered.
Hey, John, I'm just a talk radio host, but what I suggest you do is go to InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. Get in touch with Deborah, because you guys can carry this conversation forward. However, I think you both can work with each other because she knows buyers and you work on roofs.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? I think you guys can build a great relationship together. The website is InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. Deborah, any last words?
Oh, thank you all for the great calls today. It is hard in real estate out there right now. I feel for you, whether you're buying or selling. If you want good advice, straightforward, contact me. I am glad to shoot you straight and just answer your questions. And if I can help, I will. If I can refer you to a good vendor or somebody, I'll do that as well.
Where?
InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com.
Peace out, everybody. God bless. Have a great weekend.